Hey everyone, you probably all know me, but my name is Dara. Welcome to our second ever Build Hour. We're really thrilled to have you here. Like I said, you probably all know me, but for those that don't, I'm the founder and CEO of Noloco, and I'm joined today by Jill, who runs our partnership program. We're both really excited today to guide you through today's session. As a reminder, this session is going to be recorded, so we'll be sending the recording out to all of you who registered probably sometime tomorrow or later today, depending on where you are in the world. So if you do miss anything, you want to revisit the session, you'll have the opportunity to do that. For anyone that's new to Noloco, Noloco is a powerful no-code platform that lets you build custom apps for your teams, clients, and really anyone else on top of your data. Noloco customers build things like internal tools, client portals, custom CRMs, and much more, all without code. And that's exactly what we're going to show you how to do in today's session.
Brilliant. And today's event is going to last around 60 minutes. So we'll take you up to the full hour. And throughout that hour, we're going to be taking your questions. So please use the Q&A box or the chat, whatever you prefer. And we are going to leave 15 minutes at the end dedicated to answering any kind of leftover questions that you might have live. So stay tuned till the end.
Yeah, exactly. In this series, we're calling it the build hour because it's really taking the time to show you how to build one of our templates from absolute scratch. So you'll kind of get the opportunity to watch me take an app from absolutely zero. We'll be starting with no tables, no custom UI, absolutely nothing, and taking that to something that you can share with your team, share with your clients, and so on. And I'll be describing my process throughout the way, everything from building the data tables, building out the app interfaces, building out permissions, and the automations, and really everything else that goes with it.
Brilliant. And for our second session, our second build hour, we're going to be building an employee onboarding app. So this app's going to help, I suppose, an app that you could design basically to welcome your new hires and manage every aspect of their onboarding process. We'll cover things like how to collect essential contact information, payroll information, how you can schedule onboarding sessions, share all the training materials, etc., and ultimately assign those onboarding tasks and track them through to completion. It's an ambitious task for the hour ahead, but we'll try and get through as much of that as possible. But as Dara said, in 60 minutes, you're going to see an app go from absolutely nothing to something that you could share with your team. And look, this is your chance as well to tune in live and ask us directly how we're doing it. If you have any questions, just definitely chime in and make the most of this hour that you have with us today.
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, we'll be doing this live. We debated how to do this before we ran our first build hour a couple of weeks ago. But honestly, the last one went so well. We got great feedback. We got great questions, great comments. People had fantastic observations. So we're going to run it pretty much exactly the same. So we won't have pre-baked anything. I will probably make some mistakes. But hopefully we can all learn from those mistakes in the process, as I might have to redo a certain piece or go back over some things. But I'll try my best to explain what I'm doing. And Jill will be in the background answering any questions that I can't answer live in the chat. So she's going to drop off now just to save herself from smiling for 60 minutes straight. So that's enough chatter from me. Let's get into our second build hour. And I'll kind of introduce what I'm building first. So it's going to be an employee onboarding app. And this is really interesting to me because basically any team has employees and any employee does need to be onboarded in some shape or form. So what I demonstrate today might not be exactly how you guys need to do onboarding, but it should be representative of the process that you could shape to match your business's needs, right? So I'm going to be setting up an app that you'll be able to invite your employees to. They'll be able to give you the critical data that you need to kind of onboard them. They'll be able to kind of learn, collect resources, read through resources that you need to onboard them efficiently. They'll be able to kind of come back to those by bookmarking them, and also kind of give them really useful information about like who their manager is, who their manager is, that sort of thing. So, having worked in a few different places, these are the type of things that I genuinely wish I had when I was onboarding people. And now that I, run Noloco, it's something that honestly, we still have a lot of room to improve on. But now that I'm building this out, it's probably something I'll add some improvements to our current flow through as well. So let me just get straight into this. How do I get out of full screen? Hurdle number one. There we go. Cool. Right. So like I said, I'm starting with a completely blank app. To prove that, here you go. There's absolutely nothing here, right? But most of you probably know, if you've watched our last build there, I spend a lot of the first kind of 10 to 15 minutes in the data table because that's really how a Noloco app gets started, or really any app, whether you're writing in code or you're writing with no code. So one big difference this time compared to the last time is that I've actually generated some sample data in the past. I'd be lying if I said I haven't thought about how this app should look. So I generated some sample data that we'll be able to pre-fill it, which just give the app a bit more color. But I will be kind of going through my thought process and building out the pages and the data table as we look. So really my plan for this app is there's going to be three main tables, right? Think about an onboarding app. You've got your employees, in this case, users, but I might as well just change this to be called employees. Okay. So we've got employees. They're the ones who will be logging into the app. They'll be the ones who are onboarding in this onboarding app, right? The next thing you have is departments. Employees belong to departments. That's a pretty easy one. And the last one is resources. And this could kind of be anything. And this could be this is where probably the place where it'll differ the most for you. For today, it's going to be a simple, kind of guides, titles, descriptions, maybe an attachment, maybe a link out to some other external resource, but it could genuinely be anything. It could be a form that they need to kind of post in, or it could be a YouTube video that they need to watch on your security, anything like that, that you can kind of embed in your app. They can browse, they can come back to like that. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do, we have our user table by default in Noloco. Every Noloco app comes with one of these, which is really, really helpful. And honestly, there's not a lot of changes necessary to kind of to do with this. So I'm going to leave that as is right now, but I am going to spend most of my time building out on this. What I'm going to start with though is building a new table, and I'm going to call this department, and it's really going to be quite simple. Departments really just kind of have a name, right? And these are going to be things like, sales, marketing, engineering, right? And really, I'm going to just leave it like that right now. And I think I downloaded so I've got this sample data here, and I'm just going to download the CSV. What I did, and this is a pro tip for anybody, I kind of planned this app out with ChatGPT, talked about what tables I need, talked about what columns I would need, and then just asked to generate sample data based on that conversation. And this is what it spat out. I had to customize it a little bit, but honestly, it's going to save me so much time today. So once I've got that downloaded, just going to drop it in here and then just map the lead, the name here. So now I should get 4 columns there. Brilliant. Okay, now departments done. That was pretty easy, right? The next thing that I want to do is kind of go back to the Noloco, the employees table, which is the users table, right? And I think, this effectively is an employee, but we might as well say an employee belongs to a department. We're going to jump straight into the linked fields, right? And we're just going to get right into it. So an employee can only belong to one department. That much is true. So an employee records can only have one department, but departments can be associated with many employees, obviously. So there's many employees in the department, but an employee only belongs to one department. Now, as we all know from working in different businesses, sometimes people fall between the gaps, but for the sake of reporting, and even for the sake of simplicity, you usually do need to kind of map them to a single department. So in this case, I'm just going to say, then a department has employees. Just going to call it there. All right, excellent. Now that means basically my record here, I've got this new department field, and I can choose, sales, marketing, human resources, whatever. I'm going to throw myself in engineering because I fancy myself as an engineer. Of course, a bit of an error there. Excellent. Let me just reload the page. So it's been a little while since I loaded this up. Imagine that did the trick. Yeah. Engineering. Excellent. Cool. All right. I'm gonna really just now fly through creating some fields. And I want you to take note of the types of fields that we are creating, because they're gonna actually they're all gonna be a little bit different. So first up, what we want is to be able to capture some onboarding details. So things like contact details, what position they're going to be in, who their manager is, whether the employee is active or inactive, their address, their emergency contact name, their emergency contact phone number. These are the things that realistically any business should be capturing, right? So we've already captured the departments. But I realized actually we also need a table of positions. And this is really helpful because it allows you to kind of group people. So I want to store a position. And again, this is just going to be a name, and a position will belong to a department as well. So these are things like software engineer, head of growth, head of partnerships, that sort of thing. Great. And I will just give this, what did I say, department. Okay, brilliant. Okay. And obviously a position can only belong to one department, and yeah, exactly. This is the exact same. Nine times out of 10, these are the kind of values that you need to leave it as. Positions, or I could have called this roles. Doesn't really matter. Okay. Now that we're here, I'm gonna just create a few because I actually forgot to generate these. But you'll see what I mean. This will be in the engineering department. And let me do other one. Head of marketing. This will be in the marketing department. Okay. I might generate a few more of those later. I can show you how to do that. Back to the employees table then. We've already got our department, but we do want a position field as well. So look, go at it again. We create a linked field. You get the drill at this point. An employee can only have one position, and then positions have many employees. Perfect. All right, now we're well on our way. Okay. Now I'm going to capture things that they need to provide to us in their onboarding, right? Because there's going to be a few different things. There's going to be recruiters who, onboard the employees, or admins who want, and they're going to define the department and the position, that sort of thing. But the employee then is going to have to provide us with these contact details. So let's get started. Phone number. If anyone's wondering what these are, by the way, we've taken the top 100 field names that we see across Noloco, and we just given them to you as suggestions, because 9 times out of 10 that's what you need. All right, for the phone number field, shockingly, kind of create the phone number field type. This is a field that's kind of specific to Noloco. What it does is it basically gives you a phone number input where you can choose your area code and then the phone number associated with it as well. I'm going to leave all these blank because I'm just going to import them in a few minutes. Right, so we've got phone number, going to call hire date or start date maybe. Yeah, perfect. And this is just going to be a date field, and it does not need a time, right? You start on a specific date, you don't start on a specific date and time. That's not necessary. Right, what's next? We want the manager. This is a really interesting one, actually. So a manager is a self-link to an employee, right? So each employee has a manager who is another employee. But for the sake of simplicity, again, each employee can only have one manager, but a manager can manage multiple employees. So we just call this managed employees. You probably come up with a better word, which is, I don't know, reportees or something like that. But I'm going to leave it like this. Right. Cool. Where are we now? Manager status. Cool. I'm going to set up a single status, single option field here. Very simple, just going to be active, inactive. And I'm sure you're all wondering, when is he going to get out of the data table? But honestly, you'll see once I have all this stuff set together, it really, let's call this onboarding actually. I'm going to create a third one there. Once I have all these fields together and the sample data generated, it's really just going to come together really, really fast. So that was the status field. I'm actually going to create onboarding here, just change the order around a little bit. Perfect. All right. Address. I'm going to make the address field a Noloco address field, a kind of a rich street address field. Again, this is very similar to the phone number field. It allows you to capture, the street name, the county, the state, the country. And I won't get into it today, but you can actually set up Google autocomplete, and we can autocomplete that for you. I'll show you what that looks like though. Yeah, you can see it's a rich kind of field here. Okay. Alrighty. Emergency contact number. Yeah, these ones are, a little less interesting, but all the same, I'm going to show you how we using the form. Contact name. And this, I'm just going to make this a a full name, right? Don't really need the title, don't need middle name, but it's going to capture first name, last name, all in one field, and emergency contact phone. Emergency contact phone. This is something I didn't collect when I first onboarded my first employees, and honestly, it was a headache catching this stuff. Um, you know, 6, 10 months in when we're going to an offsite, and I was like, hey, just in case something happens, I'm going to need your emergency contact details, and then nobody fills them out. All right, let's see. Start date. I think I already did. Um, uh, bank name. Yeah, two more things. So yeah, I just want kind of bank details. Bank name. And this is going to be text, single line. Leave this as it is. And then bank account number. And this is going to be, well, if it's European, it'll be an IBAN as well. So I'm going to make this a text field as well. So IBANs like start with the country code, like IE or DE or whatever. So you got to take that into account. We can actually add some like regex validation if we want to kind of control that. If we want. Okay. All right. 3 more fields, then we're done. Actually, I'm going to leave it like that. Yeah, that's it for now on the onboarding stuff. Cool. So what have we got? We've got a table of employees, a table of departments, a table of positions. Pretty good. I'm just going to show you my employees table here. I'm going to download this as a CSV. And now I'm going to, you know what? I'm actually going to grab, yeah, because I have positions here. Equals unique. Nope. Yeah, just going to grab all. I don't know why this business has a query manager, but that's okay. All right, name, excellent. Now we've got positions. Okay, let me download this. CSV. Okay, and go to my position table. Going to import these here. I'm just dragging and dropping it in, choosing the column. Should be easy. All right, done. Okay, now we've got the positions. Perfect. Now, if I download the employees table, I can't remember if I already did this. I'll do it again. These should automatically pre-fill, which is what I was hoping for. So that's moment of truth. I'll go through this one slightly slower. So basically, what I've got is first name, last name, email. We're mapping these to the fields in Noloco with these exact same columns. Noloco automatically picks up the name of the fields and makes a best guess. Okay. Position is going to link. We used to limit this to just linking by ID, but now we actually take text and we find the relevant row with that. Department's going to be the same thing. Manager email, we might have to re-import this if some of them aren't linked before. Status, these are all going to mark to active. The address is going to populate. The emergency contact name, the emergency contact phone number. Date of birth, I didn't bother filling in. Start date has mapped to start date. Bank name and bank account number, right? Fingers crossed, this goes as well as I hope. And if it does, we've got a really interesting app kind of ready to go. So we give that a second, but it should show up. There we go. All right. Yep. Everything there. Department, position, phone number. Some of them were invalid. I think some of them were provided anyway. Manager didn't come in. I'll have to figure that out. Address mostly came in as well. Phone number, ideal. We have everything here. Sweet. All right, what's a manager? You know what? I can do manager later. I did say manager might not work. What actually I can do now is, yeah, I can import them a bit later or just manually assign some. So let's go back to the app. So we've spent a long time. What have we got? We're on a 20-minute mark, 15-minute mark. We spent the last 15 minutes in the data table. I did say it might take about that time. Right now we're going to jump into the Noloco app. Okay. So this is the app. This is the app builder. This is build mode. I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with this. This is where the magic happens. You turn on build mode and you get access to now editing all of the data that we just editing how all of that data looks, right? So I'm going to create a few pages. I'm going to create an employee directory. I'm going to create a profile page, and I'm going to create a department directory, and that sort of thing. So let's start with the employee directory. Okay. Really and easily, this is just going to be, I don't know, probably cards. If we had profile pictures, it would be really easy to do this, just kind of put their profile picture up the top. But what I'm going to do is just jump into the fields here and, yeah, here we go. Turn on things like first name, last name, and first name. Where did last name go? There it is. In fact, it's actually a bit nicer as well if I add a new formula field, which is full name. This is, some people prefer this, but it's a nice way to just kind of make sure people can see the full thing. The syntax for that is Excel-like syntax, so you got to use ampersands and spaces, all of that nice things. Usually I would check if either of these are empty, but I know that they're both full, so this will work perfectly. Just click add field. Once that checks in, I'll be able to make that the primary field, right? And if I want, cool, full name, and I'll make this, no, I can't actually, so that's okay. What I will do is I'll make sure I can turn that on, right? So full name is here, and I'll get rid of first name and last name. Okay, now here's a nice thing I like to do. It's quite obvious this is the thing. Make that a little bigger, make sure that the department, the position, don't need the phone number on that. We don't need the start date. Manager could be interesting eventually, but the rest of the details, not important for a directory. What we do want then is the way for some people to be able to add new employees. I'll get to that soon. And I'll just kind of change the title here to employee directory. And what was the thing I wanted to do? I wanted to add a search, right? So you just come here and you click filter fields, click search. Now it'll search for Gary, for example. Easy peasy. Okay. Now that's the employee directory. Everyone's going to have access to that for now, right? Hope that makes sense to everyone so far. What I'm going to do next is actually create a kind of sub page, right? Okay, so I'm going to create a, you know what? It's probably quite different. I'm going to create one more page and call this the employee page. Okay, so we've got employees, which is that one I just created. That's the one I got modified. Okay, so call this my profile. Here's where the onboarding part begins, okay? So this is now a new page, and I'm just going to pick an icon for this so I can find it visually. Person or user, this one. Nice. What I love to use sometimes for this type of thing is the single record view. This basically takes the first record and it turns it into the record view for this, right? So the first thing we're going to see Daniel Baker's, oh no, what's his name? I don't know why his name's not here. Doesn't really matter. We're going to turn it in here and we're going to see Rodriguez's profile. But what we could do is go back to the filter and make sure the filter is only showing the correct user. So what I will do is say the ID of the employee must be equal to the logged in user's ID. Right now you can see that this shows my name, right? Which is really, really helpful. And let's see, full name should be the thing, right? So now if I change user, which is a feature you can use as an admin, to Jeffrey Smith, Jeffrey Smith's profile is here. Now the user has a profile, okay? And this is where I think it gets super interesting, right? So I'm going to create a few sections where they can organize, see their own data for one, but then also make sure that they are onboarded completely. So I'm going to create a few tabs. Tabs. Perfect. Going to create the first tab. I'm going to call this onboarding. This is going to be specific to onboarding, and it might even mean when onboarding is completed that we hide it. So what we could do there is basically only show this to users which have, I'm going to just add this stages back just for a moment. You'll see why. I'm going to just move this user into onboarding. And if I go back to the visibility rules of the tabs here, we're going to only show this to users that are in the onboarding state. That means once they have passed out of the onboarding state, they won't see this tab anymore. Okay, and that means you can put dedicated things on this page to make them on board. All right. So I'm gonna just wipe some of this stuff for now. It's important, but I want to start from scratch, basically. Not always the case. Sometimes makes a lot of sense. But let me start. I'm gonna start with a notice, okay? And it's gonna be something similar to choose an icon. I don't know. Do we have a wave? And I don't know. Not what I was expecting, if I'm honest. Uh, person or flag. Sorry, let's go with the flag. Cool. And we're gonna make it green, and we're just gonna say something like, "Welcome to Noloco." Um, you know, not gonna hide the subtitle. You know, this is your onboarding tab. Please make sure you complete each section. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do is add a few more of these notices and basically make action buttons that allow them to fill out specific sections of the form, of their onboarding form. So it'll be things like update your emergency contact details, and hide subtitle just to align it. And I don't know, maybe we'll make this the phone icon. Okay, ideal. What I'm going to do then is add an action button. And this action button is going to appear here. And it's going to say, update. And what we're going to do is say, update your emergency contact details. And we're going to add an action to say, update the record. It's going to be this record. And we're just going to add the address, the emergency contact name, and the contact phone. And what that will look like is this, right? So update emergency contact details, and yeah, it'll basically show up. And what we can do then is see that. Go back into build mode, and this will be hidden then once we have all of those contact details. So once address is not empty, and let's just say emergency contact phone number is not empty, and so on. I would kind of complete them all, and basically you can see here that this is still here because it's not done. So if I drop out of build mode, oh, it must be done. Okay, well, you get the idea, right? So if I were to add a details section here and just add contact details, oh, it is there. Yeah, of course it's filled in. So if I cleared this out, then I think that would show up again. Oh, I see what's happened. It's kept the area code. It was a bad example. Let me add the address as well. Okay, perfect. So if I clear out the whole address, which might be trickier than it sounds, this should appear again. Oh, you know what I've done? These should have been or conditions. Of course it is. This should have been here. Notice visibility. You should have been ors. Or there you go. Or the phone number is empty. Yep. You get the idea. And oh, it should be is not empty as well. Okay. Let me just do it for all of them now that we're here. Emergency contact name is empty right now. There you go. You can see that it has shown up there. I'm going to basically just do the same thing now for update your payment details. Right. So you get the idea. Update your payment details. Now you've basically created this onboarding checklist for your users, right? And that's bank, ideal, right? Let's just say you could add color to this. Be like, payroll is processed on the 20th of the month. Whoops. Please add your bank details before then, right? And then we're going to have a similar update action button. And I'm just going to remove all these fields. And then we're going to, just add bank name, bank account number. And you could really, and then go back to the visibility on this. And instead of my profile address, it's going to be, bank name, and it's going to be my profile account number. And I get rid of this one. And that one is filled in, right? So you get the idea. So that's going to have disappeared. And of course, you could preview these here as well if you wanted to. That's just kind of up to you. Okay, great. So let's clear this out. Now you've got a nice little introduction here, right? Let's go to the next tab. And I'm going to show some more interesting stuff. So what am I trying to do? I want to add a detail section, and I want to make this the manager, right? And you can basically say my manager. And here's where we have all of the details of the manager. You can see here it's actually empty, right? But really simply, you could add their profile picture, add their email, anything you need. All right. These can all be removed. Let's say we could add their position, and yeah, I suppose that's really all you need. But obviously, my manager is blank at the moment. So let's go to Jeffrey Smith. Jeffrey is the first one here. So he is in the marketing department. Let's choose a manager. Sure. Who else is in marketing? Miranda. Perfect. Miranda. Okay. Now, when I come back here, yeah, excellent. So let's rename this tab. This is going to be manager. And yeah, you can see here, if I turn off build mode or edit mode rather, that's going to be there. And in fact, I don't need the edit mode on this at all because it's not going to be editable except through those buttons. All right, so I'm just going to turn off the edit mode button here. Don't need comments, going to turn that off. And then I'm going to add an action button. Okay, so I'm going to add an action button that, two action buttons actually. So it's going to be a one click. The icon here is going to be a mail icon. And yeah, let's show this one. And it's going to be a navigate to, and it's going to be email, and it's just going to choose my profile, which is the user that we're on. We're going to choose manager, and then we're going to choose their email, right? So that's going to be, yeah. And again, I can do hi, my manager, first name, I have a question. And then what that'll do is, oh, I didn't, it'll allow us to, I keep doing this. I did it again. When I click this, it'll open this in my default email client, right? Which you can't see because I'm not sharing that screen. But that's what that's done. But what you can also do is jump over to our workflows. And I really like this one. Okay. So if I go to our workflows, I'm going to create an on-demand workflow for the employee. Okay. And I'm going to say, send Slack message. And this is going to be on demand. Okay. What this means is when you run this workflow here can be triggered by one of our action buttons, just like I showed you just there. And the action is going to be quite simple. I'm actually going to do a Slack message, right? And it's going to send a Slack message to a user. And I've already connected my Slack, so that's why that's working here. And, the icon here, I can leave, but it's just like, again, hi. It's going to be the trigger is going to be the employee, and it's going to be hi, manager first name, etc. It's great to meet you. And then the user we're going to send it to is going to be the source user, and it's going to be their manager, like that. And what we do here is our integration with Slack basically sends a message to that user in Slack based on the email address that they signed up on. So you don't have to match Slack accounts or anything like that. That'll just work out of the box. So all I need to do is turn this on, then come back and come back here, and I can almost just copy this action button here. And instead of sending an email, it's going to be message on Slack. Might as well get the Slack icon up. Excellent. And instead of navigating to, we're going to run an on-demand workflow, which record this record, and we're going to send a Slack message. Okay. So what that looks like is, and I'll send a little notification as well. So it'll be like, check your Slack. Message sent. Okay. Excellent. And what that'll do is, it's not going to work because I don't have a Miranda Black at example.com in my Slack, but it'll basically go like this, and assuming that that person works, it'll send a message from the Noloco app, your Noloco app, or as you have it set up to this email address, should it exist. All right, cool. So now you've got, stepping back ever so slightly, and I know we're conscious of time, so I do want to wrap up soon enough and kind of build out one more piece. I will pause and just kind of check the questions. I haven't been checking it, but I know Jill has been getting back to everybody. If you do have any questions, obviously throw them into the chat. Love to hear. All right. So where are we now? Let me see. Yes, I do want to add the resources. Okay, so we've got my manager, and we've got, oh yeah, I'm not in onboarding, so that's it. So we've got, if I view this app as, going back to viewing as Jeffrey now has an app that they can log into, that they could be invited to, that will effectively have an employee directory that they can view. And this page I haven't customized yet. You could basically just limit this to details that they need to see about their users. Could be their manager and so on. But then they've also got their own profile, which shows them their onboarding, the things that they need to do for onboarding, the My Manager tab, and kind of anything else. And I have a plan for this last thing. The last thing I want to do is add resources. So I'm going to create one more. I'm just going to call it resources. It's a bad name, but realistically, it's going to be, what is it? It's going to be things that you can, link out to your customer or your employees, that sort of thing. So, guides, things they need to know. Like, when you join a new job and you're like, when did people take lunch? Or how do I make an expense? Or how do I get onto the corporate Wi-Fi? That sort of thing that you can just make sure it's with them day one, right? So really simple. This is going to be title. It's going to be a text field. It's going to be a single line text. Easy. Next is going to be description. Okay. This is just going to be a text again. This is going to be long text. And then we're done here. Last, but certainly not least, going to be URL. And this is going to be text, but this time it's going to be URL. And you could go further with this. You could add things like attachments as well, right? If you needed documents that need to be downloaded, right? I don't have samples of those, but I would basically make it a multi-file field. So you could add, maybe it's an expense report template that they need, or maybe it's some branding assets that they need, or some templates for posting their new job on social media, whatever it is, you could have it added here. All right, now I'm going to head back to my sample data while that creates, and I'm just going to download these resources that I created. Download. Excellent. And we're going to import and just drag that CSV in, title, description, URL. Job so good. Hopefully we see that come through. Excellent. While that works away in the background, I've thought of a few ways to make my employee directory a bit better, right? So I'm going to turn on build mode again. I'm going to get really detailed here. So with our filter fields, we obviously can filter by position and department and manager. Where is manager? Manager was one of the first things added. Is that already there? No, it's down here. course it is. Okay, so now you've got these brilliant filters, but you could also then group it, right? So you could group this by something like department, which could be super interesting. So you've got like engineering, human resources, and you just imagine how good this would look if I had the time to upload profile pictures for everybody. Okay. Right. Now that our import is done and we've got our resources, let's build out a basic table for that. So I'm going back to here and clicking the plus, just clicking resource, right? What I've done now, you've got a whole page for resources. And this is going to let people basically view and search them. So going to turn on the search box. It's something I love to do. You could go so far with this. You could have categories, you could have tags, you could have ratings. Comments could be a super interesting one for this, just so people go back and forth or maybe even ask questions on it. But I'm going to change up how this looks. I'm going to get rows. I'm going to jump into the rows field. I'm going to turn off title, kind of make it full width, kind of display it as a heading 3. So it's kind of big. I'm going to jump down to the description. Also going to turn off the label. I'm going to display this as markdown, kind of make it full width. Okay. ChatGPT didn't generate super interesting descriptions for me, but they are relevant. So that's all that really matters. So let's say someone has something about printer questions. There's nothing there. Maybe there's Wi-Fi. I can't remember what I added. Let me pick one that actually exists. PTO, that's a great one, right? How do you take PTO? Something you could easily add to this, by the way, which is something we do at Noloco. It's really fun. We obviously don't need people to add new resources here. It's something we could let admins do, maybe. If we have time to jump into that, I will. And then, yeah, basically here, I want to do a few things. I want to recreate this a little bit. Don't need the title, it's up there, but the description. Make this full width, drop this, make sure it's displayed as markdown. I'm going to drop the URL as well, because what I'm going to do is turn off the edit button and add an action button. This action button then is only going to exist. It's going to open the URL, right? So let's just say open, okay? And it's going to be one click, and we're just going to make it navigate to URL, and we're just going to choose resource URL. Pretty simple. Open this resource URL, right? But not all resources are going to have a URL. So we just want to make sure that the resource URL is not empty. Simple as that. Now you've got an open button, right? I should have made it open in a new tab, because that's quite annoying when it doesn't. So we'll go back to options, get rid of the floating heads, and open in a new tab. Perfect. Now we've got open here. Can't remember what the URLs were. I think they were blank, but you get the idea. Or it's FAQs, an example. And then, yeah, if there was attachments, it would show up here as well. What I want to do, though, is, what you could do, is also make sure that this is only shows up. It's not empty, right? Done. Super easy to do. Okay, what I want to do, though, is allow employees to bookmark resources. And that's what that third tab is going to be. And that's what we'll probably finish on today, and let it like pause for questions. Okay, bookmarked resource, or just bookmarks, why not? Link to another record resource. This is where it gets different. An employee should be able to bookmark multiple resources, right? Obviously, right? It's not I just have one favorite, but then of course a resource should be able to be bookmarked by multiple employees too. Right, and then just going to call this employee bookmarks. Excellent. Now, what we'll see is that there is our friend Jeffrey Smith here has another field towards the end called bookmarks, and I'll just pre-fill the FAQs there. All right. And what that now means is that I can go here and I can add one more action button. Okay. Bear with me while the Wi-Fi catches up. There we go. We got one more action button. Let me just refresh the page to make sure that's all kosher. It is. One more action button that's called bookmark. And we're going to give this the bookmark. This one. Okay. And this is super simple. And this is something a lot of people trip up about, right? So we're going to effectively edit the employee bookmarks collection with a hidden value of the current logged in user. okay? Which basically means we're going to add the logged in user to the employees who have bookmarked this resource, all right? And you got to make sure it's one click, okay? Now, interestingly, this is the one I added. So we also like to make sure that the user hasn't already bookmarked this. So we can make sure it's not one of the logged in user. Okay. So if I turn off build mode, we should see that doesn't show up. Maybe I picked the wrong one for Jesse. Can't remember. But all I really wanted to say is you can actually just then duplicate this and you can say remove, and you don't even need to change the action. All I'm really doing is changing the label here, because the way it works in Noloco is, oh, why didn't this stay? Okay. The way it works in Noloco is when you add a value to a linked record, it toggles it. So if it's already there, it removes it. If it's not there, it adds it. And then obviously you can just update the icon here to be bookmark off. And the visibility rule should be is one of. So we shouldn't see both of these. Okay, so I click this. Oh, I think that action didn't stick, which would be what happened. That is what happened. And I had that. This is all perfect. Okay, cool. Bookmark. Excellent. You see it switched to remove. Now, if I go to the employee profile again, switch over to tab 3. I'm going to change tab 3 to my resources. Okay. I'm going to add a collection on this tab, make this a resource collection, and add a relative filter. What this means is we're going to take what's on the page and filter this list based on the page. And effectively, we can just choose the bookmarks. And we don't want to be able to add new buttons. And we really just want the title and the description and nothing else. And the title, you know what, actually, just the title. Just the title would be nice. Just to make it really clean. And what I'll do is I'll bump up the page size, and yeah, surely that's enough. And I'll add a little title as well. Bookmarks. Bookmarked resources. And let me show you. If I switch to viewing the app as Gerard Wall, you'll see different ones. You'll see different managers. You won't see the onboarding because it's already done, but he will be able to go back to resources. He'll be able to click company social events. And if I turn off build mode, he'll be able to bookmark these as well. The remove button is here. If he goes back to his profile, you can see the company social events there, and then you can remove that there, back to his profile, and then it's gone, right? And then, of course, you could do loads of things. You could do analytics based on what resources people are adding the most. You could, as I said earlier, you could allow people to use comments to kind of ask questions of the resource. You could go super rich here. This is a really bare bones template, as you can probably imagine, but it's just a place for you to get started and saying, okay, like, well, what is a resource in this case? Is it a YouTube video? Is it a link to some external wiki? Is it, an embed of a Notion document? Really anything like that. And it could be any of these things with conditional visibility rules, as you kind of saw, you can do that. So I know we're running up on time. I've got most of what I wanted to do done here. I really just want to touch on one or two things. So like we talked about tasks, these, as I kind of pointed out, are how I consider tasks, but there are other ways to think about it as well, right? So it could be like book a call with your manager, and it shows up like this, and it opens up their manager's calendar, and once that event is booked, it kind of populates a field in Noloco, and it what am I trying to say? It populates a field in Noloco, and that gets hidden. Similarly, maybe you need to tell the payroll team when they've updated the payroll information. So the action button that we've got here might also trigger an on-demand workflow that updates the payroll team to say, hey, Jeffrey has finished onboarding, and he is ready to be paid effectively, right? So yeah, there's so many ways you could kind of automate this, and this is really just the beginning. And obviously, I've achieved it all in about 48 minutes. So I'll pause there, because I'm sure there are some questions, and I genuinely love to answer them. I hope this has made sense. Thanks. I'm going to take a drink of water at the very least.
Just going to say you did such a good job, I think, of explaining everything that there are no questions.
Hopefully that's the truth.
Yeah, no, but lots of engagement in the chat. Lots of really interesting apps that people are building at the moment on Noloco.
Seeing that, yeah.
I
Chris, I think you made a great point there, just on how you can bring this into your CRM. Anything, like genuinely, like we have our Noloco app, Jill, I'm sure you know, it's a recruiting tool. It's how we manage timesheets from time to time. It's how we do our project management. It's how we do our CRM. It's how we do account updates for like customers on trial extensions. And it is also a place where we do kind of employee onboarding. So you can kind of weave it into everything, because if that's where your employees are going to work, why not start there with the onboarding?
Absolutely, yeah. Loads of things we use it for.
Absolutely. Great to hear you learned some excellent things. Bookmark toggle is great. Yeah, I love this little hack. It's not a hack really. It's designed to work this way. But this the action button that does the same thing, but just has a different label and different visibility rules. And of course, maybe the remove action is slightly more dangerous in some cases. So you could actually make this a modal. Just say, are you sure you want to remove it? The choice is yours, as we say. Yeah.
And what I will say as well, following our last build hour, we did send out a survey to everyone just to capture some feedback and even suggestions for future events. I know Chris in the chat has suggested doing a build hour on building a CRM live, which I think is definitely something we can do. So yeah, if anyone else listening in, tuning in, has suggestions that they would like to see us focus on, please do share in the post-event feedback that we'll send out. So yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. And I just want to reiterate, this is the starting block. We probably will polish this template up a little bit, and we'll release it on our template directory pretty soon, just like we did with last week's build there. So if you're looking for the customer success template, that's now available to clone. So I'll probably add a few more things to this. One thing that didn't get to touch on is things like roles. So obviously you'd have, on the hiring managers, or I don't know, founders, or whatever stage your company's at, someone who actually has the ability to add employees. I didn't really touch on that today, but I'm sure you'd get the idea. It just really is a matter of reducing this form, limiting who can create new employees, and giving them the power to do that, right? But it'll take me 2 minutes to kind of customize this form to do that. It's really just capturing first name, last name, email address, and then the rest kind of happens automatically. And off the back of that, wiring up some workflows to invite people. Lots of possibilities to go from here. Even changing the color scheme, but not crucial for today's demonstration. But yeah, thank you so much for joining, and thanks for all your brilliant questions and for paying attention. And genuinely hope you learned something today. I love doing these. Love getting to just spend an hour in the product and actually go through it and hear your feedback. So if you have any thoughts on today's session, please let me know. Reach out to myself or Jill, where we'd love to hear your feedback. Like I said at the top of the call, the recording for this will go out shortly, hopefully within the next 12 to 18 hours, depending on how quickly we can get it up on YouTube. But so keep an eye on your inbox for that. And we'll see you all in the next one.
Definitely.
Okay.
Great.
Thanks folks. Bye. See you soon. Bye-bye.